We got our biggest recognition till date. We won Atmanirbhar App Innovation Challenge. We've been a part of Google's App Scale Academy.
Right.
30 apps only got that honor, and they recognized us top 10 innovative apps among Google Play India.
Awesome.
So our honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji tweeting about you, right? This is an app talking about you.
Yeah, that's something you can't plan for, right?
yeah. Piyush is a very good visionary.
Right.
He sees purpose behind the businesses as well, which was evident from all the Shark Tank episodes. So we were very keen to have him on board.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Startup Operator Podcast. I'm Roshan, and today we have a special guest. We have Ravi Teja, who's the co-founder of iMumz. And if some of you feel that his face is familiar, I mean, that's because he has been a Shark Tank contestant and he ended up raising money as well and partnering with Piyush of Lenskart. We'll talk about the very interesting business that he's building and talk about his Shark Tank experience and so on and so forth. So this is going to be a fun episode, so stay tuned. Hey Ravi, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Hey, hi Roshan. Hi.
So, like I said, I think you're building a very unique business. Society has changed, right? And the way we sort of, treat pregnant mothers,
Right.
we birth babies has consequently changed, right? I mean, earlier there used to be this whole support structure and infrastructure around this whole process. But today, in this sort of an isolated nuclear family world that we're living in, it's not quite the same, right?
Yeah.
But I want to understand, I mean, you seem fairly young, right? And you started this business about 4 or 5 years back. So how did this idea dawn upon you? And just briefly talk about your journey.
Sure. Disclaimer, I'm not a father yet. So happy to share. Of course, founders are always passionate to share why they started. So like you mentioned, every company starts from a fundamental insight, right? So if you see, millennials are the folks who are into the journey of fertility, pregnancy, or parenting, early parenting today. So 85% plus families are in nuclear families. There is so much stress, sedentary lifestyle. All of that is taking a toll on their journey in fertility, pregnancy, and early parenting. And time management is becoming an issue. Mostly, if you ask them, they're feeling like we lack a support system. They're getting only 5 minutes from the doctor per month. So every company starts from fundamental unique insight from a customer. For us, it's like people are lacking actionable insights. They don't have a support system. They do want to act upon. They're fed up with content that is available but not, personalized and not super useful, right? So that is what they were looking, and hence we started iMumz to be their strongest support system in their entire journey.
Right. And, you brought up a very important point, right? Because, I've seen expecting mothers are understandably very anxious, right? And they perhaps want to talk to a doctor every couple of days, right? But then, I mean, on the flip side, there are so few doctors and their times are so... they're so strapped for time that they might not be able to give that kind of time and attention to these families, right? So I think it's a very pertinent problem. And if I sort of take a step back and think about it, I think it's a larger healthcare issue, right? Where our state capacity is quite low. There's a human resource challenge. You don't have the number of doctors for every 1,000 people that you should have. Hospital infrastructure is not that great, so on and so forth. And I think the way out of this is technology solutions.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So consumer tech has revolutionized many spaces. Health, there are some revolutionary techs that are coming. So, pregnancy is a very normal physiological condition which has been happening from millions of ages. So we are totally dependent on, a super experienced specialist, a super specialist who's an OBGYN. Today, according to the official stat of FOGC, which is the federation for all the OBGYNs, that is obstetrician gynecologists of the country, doctors are unable to spend more than 5 minutes with a pregnant mother on an average. And you imagine from their perspective, they're bombarded with their own entire practice, and they've been answering the same question for 25 years. Can I climb stairs in my pregnancy?
Right.
So they also feel like, oh, what a silly question that's
Right.
coming from them. So mothers do require a support system, and they do have a lot of questions, but unfortunately they're meeting them once in a month. That is one thing. Another flip side of it, it's just not the time with the doctor. There are many other areas of wellness that an expecting couple should be taking care of. For example, the nutrition, or prenatal fitness, mental well-being exercises. All these essential elements are not today being provided by your healthcare provider, who is your OBGYN.
Right.
So there is a need of more personalized and more holistic care. WHO suggested 25 to 35 minutes of care for mother per every month,
Right.
and we are fulfilling just about 15 to 20% of it.
Wow. Wow. And it has a direct impact on the future generation, right? I mean, I was just listening to what you said on Shark Tank that,
Yeah.
that the time between the pregnancy and up to a year of when the child
Yes.
is born has a huge impact not just from a developmental perspective, but
Yeah.
other ways as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. So it's called first 1,000 days of life. So in pregnancy, we have 9 months, that is about 270 days. And in the early parenting, the first 2 years, 730 days. So this whole journey from pregnancy to early childhood, it's 1,000 days, is very fundamental in building a human, according to so many scientific studies.
Right.
There is Barker's hypothesis, which says that, pregnancy, the mother's health in pregnancy can be traced to future chances of having a non-communicable disease like cardiovascular disease or a diabetes in the future.
Right.
Pregnancy and early parenting shapes the personality, whatever emotional communication that is happening here.
Right.
So it plays a very, very important role. That's why culturally these phases are given utmost importance across cultures, all the ages.
Right. So I can see your passion for healthcare in general, and here, I have to bring up a fact that Ravi Teja is, of course, a fifth generation, Ayurvedic practitioner, right? I mean, you're not quite a practitioner,
Right.
but you've come from a family of practitioners.
Yeah, I am the black sheep there.
But you're doing something in healthcare, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so interesting. So was there always some kind of a interest in, wellness, and was there some pressure to sort of follow in the family footsteps?
So pressure was never there, but inspiration, yes, definitely.
Right.
So my sister, my father, grandfather, great grandfather, his father, all of them are Ayurvedic doctors, and my family especially, they have expertise in women's health spectrum. So I saw, a woman having PCOS, going to unable to conceive because of that, went to all the super specialty hospitals, done couple of IVF cycles, no success, unable to cure her disease, unable to get conception. Came to my father, took the help of Ayurveda and lifestyle. Within 6 months, they could see natural conception, remove the disease from the core. So that hits you as a child. Like I saw one such experience every week, right? Somebody showing profound gratitude. So that made me believe in this science from childhood. And I have a deep respect for modern science, evidence based medical science as well. But I feel, hey, you know what? Both these worlds are amazing.
Yeah.
Why don't we combine both the protocols and give what is best for the consumer, right?
Right.
So that hit me, from the start days, right?
Right.
I didn't grow up and become an Ayurvedic doctor. I felt that's not my cup of tea. I'm a curious kid, and I went to I was like, let's do engineering like any other kids and figure out what to do with my life. Fortunately, I got into IIT BHU, and then I got exposed to a lot of tech startups, how tech is creating a lot of impact. Consumer tech is in boom at the time. I started my college from 12 to 17, where we saw a lot of path breaking products. So it became kind of a no-brainer for me to combine both and create something in health.
Right. Yeah, and I think we need all of these levers, right? I mean, whether it is modern medicine, alternate medicine, and we'll have to recognize the kind of limitations that these have, and figure how we can use all of this to improve our healthcare for sure, right?
Absolutely.
One thing that I noticed in iMumz is that you have a very good mix of co-founders, right? I mean, there are 4 of you, and you have Dr. Malhotra, who is an OBGYN, right? So how did you put this founding team together,
Yeah.
and could you give some advice on
Yeah.
folks who are starting up in healthcare or
Yeah.
thinking about it and wondering how they should put the team together?
Absolutely. So I think I definitely can give some insights, but end of the day, it's destiny how we form. How
Right.
see your energy attracts others' energy, and eventually somebody will come together. But first thing I strongly feel, which most of us resonate with, is the passion to solve that problem, right?
Right.
Eventually, if you're signed up as a co-founder, it's a binary decision. You're all in or all out. You're signed up to solve that problem for years, at least 5-6 years minimum. It can go up to decade and further, right? So passion to solve that. So me and Mayur, the CT1 co-founder, we both met during our college days at IIT BHU. He also comes from a very similar background, family into holistic health. We both are meditators for more than 8 years now. We have our mentor, Mr. Rajesh, who was former Art of Living director at that point of time. He understands mindfulness in depth and the impact holistic health can create on human beings. So we were tinkering around pregnancy and early parenting, which is the most impactful phase in human life. At that point of time, I happened to meet Dr. Malhotra, and she is the one who delivered 10,000 babies in her 30-year-long career.
Wow.
And when I met her, she's very humble. She already presided the body of OBGYNs in India at that point of time. So she already reached her peaks. And when I met her, she said, "You know what, Ravi, I do a lot of good work, but at the end of the day, I sleep with little dissatisfaction. I wish I could do more for her because I know the impact that can create on her. But my hands are tied." And same with every good doctor who want to provide a better care, holistic care, and impact their families. So she believed the power in technology, being a very senior doctor herself. Uh, you know, um, the core domain expertise plus mindfulness, inspiration from Indian ancient wisdom plus technology together can create massive impact. That's what we feel, and I'm very happy that among our co-founding team we have deep understanding of all these essentials and
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right. So you have an idea, you have the
Yeah.
team put together. How do you go about productizing, your solution? Because, I probably think that this could have gone 2 or 3 different ways, right?
Absolutely.
So how did you choose this app-based content plus intervention
Yeah.
sort of an approach?
That's a very interesting question. I think the answer is from customers. Um, Everybody talks about building in an MVP style, minimum viable product. You build it, minimum lovable product. It should be. So we try to do the same thing. What we did is we didn't go and build the product on day one. Instead, me, Mayur, uh, we were standing outside the clinics of OBGYNs in Bangalore. We were talking to expecting couple, try to understand what their core needs are. One thing that resonated with them is, hey, you know what, we need more structured guidance. Okay, we come here, we do our scans, we take our supplements, medications, we go back. Any prenatal exercises that we are supposed to do, or any additional things that we do to take care of our mental and physical well-being, and that guidance should be personalized because there is no one size fits all there, right? So that was the insight we got. We want more hand holding, and that striked us. And then we realized there is a huge lack of actionable insights. Content is everywhere. There are great apps like Baby Center, What to Expect, which are Western, they're about for more than a decade.
Right.
People are following. But those articles are not solving your problem or aspiration, right? So then we asked those couples who met to, hey, why don't you sign up on our program? Give your phone numbers. We'll send one actionable insight to your WhatsApp every day. It can be a guided meditation. It can be, prenatal asanas, yoga practices, which are safe, especially for you. Or it can be some conscious baby bonding activity, which our Indian ancients have recommended. And today science approved them, saying it's a fetal bonding or fetal learning technique. So we collected about 100 to 150 members, phone numbers in about a month, and we started sending them actionable insights every single day.
Nice.
And there we saw a lot of retention and delight there. People find it, oh, this is what is helping me so much. We made them fill a questionnaire, we understood their pregnancy in depth, and we created a backend algorithm and started sending one personal actionable nudge every day. And that is a very much differentiated product at that point of time in market.
Fantastic.
And then we realize, oh, this is what is working.
Yeah.
Why don't we create a product around that?
Yeah. I think just to pause, right? I think that's such a fantastic insight because, often founders are told to do things that scale, right? But when you're doing the 0 to 1, I think you should do the opposite of it.
I totally agree on that.
Right? I mean, there isn't anything that you can scale as of yet. Right? I mean, by investing in those 100 people, I mean, you got 100 fans, and more importantly, you got 100 people that you can learn from.
Yeah, totally,
right?
Totally.
Fantastic. So how did you go from there? I mean, you have these 100 people, you're delivering personalized insights to these people. How do you grow from 100 to 1,000 to today, I think maybe 6 lakh plus app downloads?
It's about 11.5 lakhs now. Yeah.
Okay, Shark Tank effect.
Yeah, that was there too.
Right, amazing. So if you could break down that journey and talk about, what were the different levers that kind of helped you leapfrog from one to another?
Yeah, sure. Of course, at every traction, you need different traction channels. I'll definitely share some of them which worked for me. So when we got our first 100 customers, we ensured that we gave very good personal attention back then. And the day when we created the product, and our first version of product was very minimal. It is just doing the job. Okay, you sign up, we ask you the important information which is just required for us, and we're customizing and giving you actionable insights. Nothing, no pregnancy calculator tracker, no blogs, no community, no other additional features. So we just launched it, and our entire 150 audience, they shifted. So day one of our app launch, we have about 300 downloads. So these people got some people. So we have built some audience already. Then the word spread out in pregnancy groups, which are Facebook groups. I know if it's still a thing right now, but it used to be a thing back then, not so long ago, 3.5 years ago. So people were kind enough to give us a shout out on Facebook group saying that, hey, this is something quite interesting. It's a very much differentiated product, right? So our early audience got us first 500 customers, and word of mouth spread, and gradually we got about 1,000 customers. And we did things which don't scale. We ensured that in the first 1,000 customers, I think me, Mayu, Dr. Jaideep, all of us combinedly, we spoke to about at least 500 to 600 of them personally.
Wow.
Yeah. And from 1,000 to 10,000, we started experimenting on performance campaigns. Hey, this is a new app in pregnancy, giving a differentiated approach, would you like to try? So we started doing that, and people were interested. So it's a combination of organic plus performance. We grew to 10,000, and then we started doing a lot of content. By the time we reached 10,000 hits on Play Store, our Instagram started taking up. We used to put really good educative content on Instagram. Back then, Reels was not a trend. The carousel posts are gold. We used to put really good golden content, very differentiated original content there. People used to share. When we got about 1,500 followers on Instagram, one of our posts got 15,000 shares for a young page. So we realized the potential of that. So we kept on doing that.
Right.
As a combination of performance plus content, organic content plus word of mouth referrals, we reached about 1 lakh plus folks. Then we built our strong product team. And product team, I mean, I'm very proud of the product team. We launch at least a single feature in every 7 to 10 days. We constantly ideate and experiment. So for about 1 year, we did a lot of feature building on product which are growth features. Somebody like this article, they shared with the husband, with the fellow folks on WhatsApp, right? Referral campaigns we launched. We productized the referrals entirely. So as a combination of product-led growth plus content plus organic word of the mouth plus performance, of course, we grew from 100,000 to 1 mil plus. Shark Tank happened in between, which gave us a good boost of about 80K to 1 lakh installs in a span of 3 months. And meanwhile, what happened is, I still don't know honestly about what is the impact of PR, right? When we were building lot of every 6 months, I believe this will definitely happen when you're true to your mission. Every 3 to 6 months, some major event will happen. Okay, somebody will give you a good recognition.
Right.
So we never spend a single penny on PR. When we were about 50,000 to 100,000 downloads, we got our biggest recognition till date. we won Atmanirbhar App Innovation Challenge.
Awesome.
So our honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi is tweeting about you, right? This is an this is an app talking about you.
Yeah, that's something you can't plan for, right?
Yeah, right. So that's it. That's something really good, right? And all the media houses, Your Story, Times of India, Hindustan Times, Hindu, everyone started writing about articles how these young folks with a senior doctor started this, etc., etc. So you do something interesting, people will give a shout out, right? So those things kind of increase our top line, organic top line. And Shark Tank give a massive spike of the organic top line in a sustainable way.
Right.
So yeah, all of these events which happen in between. We won. We've been a part of Google's App Scale Academy.
Right.
30 apps only got that honor, and they recognized as top 10 innovative apps among Google Play India.
Right.
So these things did help a lot. I don't know what is the direct attribution,
Yeah.
but there is a feeling, right?
Yeah.
Beyond numbers, you'll have a feeling that these things really help.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and I can say this as a growth person myself, right, that people do wrong is that they try to optimize before they have something.
That's
In the early days, you're not going to be sure what particular channel works, what kind of messaging works, etc. Right? You have to go out there and you have to be fast. You have to be quick. You have to put things out there and not stress too much about it, because optimization is at the margin, right? Once you have something in place, what are those growth experiments that failed?
So many. Yeah. Okay, I'll take a moment to think about it.
Sure.
There are so many actually. I mean, there's always a hypothesis, right? Before, you try to take some quantitative data and understand qualitatively what they're feeling, and then you try to do, right? So early on, one growth experiment we did. So Jeff Bezos once told his stakeholders, right? There are so many terrible experiments Amazon did, which miserably failed. And some of them are outliers which gave disproportionate results. AWS is one of them.
Right.
So he said, if you are worried about the failure of this, there are so many more that are going to come. Brace yourself, right? So we as a company, not only in the product for growth experiments, we also try to do with our limited bandwidth. Of course, Amazon has a very huge scale. We try to do multiple other things, being focused on the core thing that is very important for us. One thing which we did is in early parenting, when people are very happy in pregnancy, they become graduates, they become parents, and then they wish to continue the same support. We were tinkering around what kind of support they would need. First 30 to 60 days, the postpartum, is when mother wants to take things slow. Newborn comes, right? She needs time for rejuvenation. We solve that out. Then after baby comes, the focus is on the baby. They wish to give right growing and developing environment for the baby. And people are investing a lot on toys. So one thing we realized is toys is a very big thing, and people are using a lot of plastic toys, overstimulating toys, which are above the skill level of the baby. So we should create a kit kind of model. Let's make different kits for different age babies. And we created a physical solution. So you subscribe for our program, you get a physical kit delivered to your place, and you have all the digitally you have a lot of activities that you can do in the app. So we thought it would be a big hit because people are having a digital guidance. There is a huge top of the funnel, they would opt for this program, and vice versa as well, right? So we thought, distribution will also be solved. We can distribute them in like in a traditional retail thing, and they'll also become top of the funnel for our app as well. So, but that miserably failed. Couple of reasons we realized is, we put a lot of thought around how to play, because the play method itself is very powerful. And we put a lot of thought on what tools actually people will pay. But turns out, baby, they have their own mind. They're the king or queens of their own world, right? You buy all the kinds of toys, they'll not use it. They will want to play with the only things which they would like to. Right. So it turned out the toys are really thoughtful, the play method is really thoughtful, but the practicality is totally different. Then we realized that people need to have parenting coaches. There are so many problems that they're facing, going back to work, or spousal conflicts increased after lack of time management, more stress levels. So they need someone as a support system whom they can share all of these problems and get practical solutions from.
Right.
Then we pivoted to having a parenting coach as a support system. So we created a service where you can subscribe for our parenting coaches who will guide you in your journey, and they'll also give a meaningful advice on how to play with the toys. So but 3 months we put a lot of ideation on these toys, and we found out vendors across India. We carefully curated that set. We did a lot of production for all of these things. We forgot our MVP style actually, and we created everything, and we realized it's not working. And then we kind of shifted into what actually people want. So this was by far one of our largest learnings. And then whatever experiments we do later, we ensure that they're working on a small scale. Fundamental insights of users are incorporated and then scale.
Right. Yeah, interesting. I think it's worth revisiting it at some point of time, because maybe not a bad idea, I mean, tying the
Yeah.
whole physical and digital
Yeah.
realms, right? I think it's definitely a good idea.
Yeah.
One of the things that, app-led companies, right, are very wary about, are very careful about, is adoption and retention, right? Because, as you scale your acquisition, if you have a sort of a leaky funnel, then it can be a death knell for companies, right? I mean, how many of these apps do we just download and not use at all, right?
Totally.
So how do you solve for that specifically? And have you realized, some one or two insights from that experience that others can learn from?
Yeah. So I'll just zoom out a little, and I totally agree with you. If it's a leaky bucket that you have created, there is no point in investing on your top of the funnel.
Yeah.
So for this, there are primarily 3 frameworks which are quite popular. Either you create a sticky engine, or you create a viral engine, or you create a growth engine. Sticky engine, it's super sticky. Many social media apps, you go there is no coming out. You're spending a lot of time. Viral engine, if one of the folks are giving 3 referrals, sharing the product, there is a virality innately in the product, then definitely go invest in your top of the funnel.
Right.
Or growth engine, for every 1 rupee you spend in acquiring user, if you're getting 3 rupees at least back in return, then also it's a no-brainer. You can grow, right?
Spend.
So in practicality, I feel there is no ideal way to figure out whether you should be a viral engine, sticky engine, or a growth engine. It can be a combination of these 3 things, and figure out your sweet spot if that is making sense in terms of your customer retention, adoption, and monetization. Then grow basis on your long-term goals is what I feel. We started our company back in 2020, and 2021, all the startups are investing so heavily on acquisition. We took a stand as a young company that we will not burn in acquiring a single customer. Like our contribution margins at least should not be negative from day one, is what the stand we have taken. So one metric that helped us is we have a back then we used to have a content subscription only. What is the conversion percent for that content subscription? About 6% people are happy to pay for our app from sign up to conversion, and that is giving double our money on what we have invested. So we continued growing. So we had a growth engine, and there is a good mix of organic crowd that is coming. So we have little, I wouldn't say virality, but the blended cost of acquisition would be much lower if you have good word of the mouth and power in the product. And there is a very good retention in the customers who are paying. The week 12 retention is more than 85% in our paying customers, with an engagement time of more than 3 hours per week. Because they dedicated themselves, and in non-paying customers it is about 32% week 10 retention we used to see. Still they're happy with the free content and free features we provide. Right. And I wouldn't completely give credit to our approach and our product, right, which had a lot of role to play, but the phase also is such. It's a niche, right? They want a support in pregnancy, so they have an app. If it's good, they'll stick to it.
Right. Yeah, I think it's also one of those things that it's not an impulse sort of a download or purchase, right? I mean, pregnancy is a time of care and attention.
Absolutely.
So your users are absolutely serious about deriving value from your app for sure, right? Now, growth is one thing, retention is one thing,
Yeah.
and monetization is a whole other thing, right?
Yeah.
And you guys monetize through subscription revenue.
Yes.
Can you talk us through some of the frameworks that you're using, some of
Yeah.
the principles you're using to sort of figure out monetization for yourself?
Yeah, sure. So when we entered the space, we knew that there is a huge opportunity in being their strong support system. There is a huge market to that. We can definitely monetize, but we were not so sure. There is a feeling in gut. There is no business model as such. I'll be honest there. So there is a feeling in gut that we can definitely monetize. They need a support system. So when we started, our product is totally free. But like I mentioned, we fundamentally built on the insight that people need actionable content. There is a crazy delight on the product. Then some of them say, this is so amazing. Like I would have paid some trainers some kind of money to have this product. Then we started thinking, can we monetize this thing? If people are saying so, the real test of the product delight would be how readily they would be readiness to pay. Then we started introducing a paywall. Hey, you know what? You still can use many of these features because we are very early. We don't want to block the delight of the users. We're still figuring out. But for the paid customers, you can unlock so much more actionable content that we have created, that we had invested in. People felt it, very reasonable. The average order value used to be around 850, 900 rupees. So there was a belief that people don't pay for content back then, right? Now there are so many companies which have proved that hypothesis wrong.
Right.
So we were very early to start this monetization experiment, whether people will pay or not. People were happily paying. So we had about more than 50,000 paying subscribers for content till date. And 5 to 6% of our app users.
I think that's a very interesting insight, right? Because my hypothesis is that if that content is for a utility, I think you will get people to pay for it.
I totally agree on that.
Versus just maybe entertainment or something like that.
Yeah.
Even on the entertainment front, right? I mean, we're seeing these experiments of Stage and Kuku FM and all of these guys, who have got lakhs of paying
million
subscribers.
Kuku FM and
exactly.
gearing up for 10 million
So I think value, right? I mean, value is the main constraint.
Yes. So provide the value. Many of them guess that people are not going to pay. Then we grew and we grew our product about 5-6 lakh installs. Then we got another insight from the customers. Hey, the content is great, we are getting a lot of help, but can you personally help us? Somebody from your team, I have this gestational diabetes, I need a special attention. Can you please give a special attention? Then we kind of tinkered, and every pregnancy is unique. We have content and a lot of customization in the app. Why don't we provide them a set of coaches who will take care of their entire physical and emotional well-being? That thought came and we quickly experimented. Then our average order value went from, then we launched a coach-led program. Then our average order value went from, let's say 900 rupees in our content program to, let's say 12,000-13,000 in a coach-led program. So we did monthly revenues of up till 10-12 lakh rupees a month using our content-led programs, and then we launched coach-led programs. People are happily subscribing. They have an option now whether to go for an utility content or go for a coach. Now we are doing about $1 million in annual revenue rate. We scaled pretty quickly. It's been about 11 months since we launched our coach program, and we had seen about 7x growth in monthly revenue in the last 3 quarters itself.
Amazing. Yeah. I think having those different models for pricing itself, right? That is also, I think, a very key insight, right? I mean, not very linear in the sense that, hey, all of these 30 articles are free for you, but then if you want 60 or 90, I mean, you have to pay X or Y, right? Versus this coach-led sort of a thing, right? I mean, I think that's pretty awesome. In the long term, I think for you to sort of
sorry to interrupt. Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I totally agree. Also, one thing which might be helpful for the larger audience is understanding, segmenting your customer in a right way is also very important. After launching, we have a free version, we have a content-led subscription, we have a coach-led subscription. After running it for some time, now we created models inside where if a customer comes, bases their behavior in the app for the first 24 hours and some user parameters, we were able to accurately map them whether they're going to be a free customer
Interesting.
or a standard, I mean, we call it as a standard subscription, a content-led subscription or a coach-led subscription. So we were able to accurately map them and guide them with the same kind of solutions we have, and they are adopting to them. So understanding customer, then that will increase the entire value per a single customer.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That can easily give you, we saw about 40% uptake in value that we get from a single customer just by understanding in depth and optimizing for it.
Right. Yeah, that's an important point as well, right? I think one of the key things in any app-led business is also making those cohorts meaningfully
Yes.
and
Yeah.
studying them and then running these experiments as well.
Totally.
Very, very important. In fact, I mean, we had Deepak Abbott, who formerly
India Gold.
Yeah, India Gold, and formerly led growth at Paytm. And so on. He is seen like real scale, right? 300 million plus sort of downloads. So do check out that episode. I mean, if you're interested in understanding the various nuances of growing an app-led business. I was saying in the long term, right? I think for you to sort of rationalize on customer acquisition and build a more sticky value proposition, community is something that you have to seriously invest in, and you guys have made a lot of attempts on that front, right? I'd love to understand, what are those 2 or 3 things that you're doing on the community front that will hopefully pay dividends to you.
Sure. So community, absolutely. See, when we talk about community, it's about them, not about us. The brand communities are very tricky, right? How much do you have to integrate your brand? How much it should be free flowing? What is the moderation level? All of these things are quite tricky, honestly.
Right.
So firstly, I would say, yes, we did a lot of attempts and try to learn a lot in building communities. The one thing first we did is, again, doing it in MVP style. We didn't build anything in the product. We were like, hey, you know what? We have these WhatsApp groups. It's a moderated community. We have someone from them. What we did is we started running it only for our subscribers first. So these are the people who have some intent and strong understanding of iMumz, and they have an alignment. My pregnancy should be this way. They have an ideology when they're subscribing to us. So we saw there is no need of moderation there. People are pretty much maintaining the decorum. And especially one thing I would really love to say is, in our case, pregnancy or early parenting, the sense of community is super strong, super strong. People would be really comforted. Oh, this is not just happening with me. This is happening with everyone else. Oh, this is not just my problem. Or people, keeping awake at 2-3 a.m. in the night when baby is, crying a lot and they can't understand for the reason. And 5-6 parents and coming and supporting her.
Wow.
So the sense of community, the value they get from the community is so huge that we observed. We created multiple WhatsApp communities based on city, based on any specific condition they have in pregnancy. We have about currently more than 9,000 folks active in different communities. They're helping each other. There are some general trends which we are seeing, but integrating in that community has always been deprioritized from a product standpoint. But we created a community not for ourselves, because they need that community. And we didn't expect any kind of benefit for the company from the community. Just connect them and leave them, right? They help each other. They have a strong sense of community itself. So that's my insight so far. We haven't built anything proactively in the app so far, but we would really love to build for long term. Yeah.
No, but that's a great point you bring up, right? Which is that a community is about them and not about you.
Us. Yeah.
Yeah, because on day one, if you start worrying about how you're going to get value out of a community, it kind of it screws up the culture. I feel, right?
Absolutely.
And especially in something which is as sensitive as
pregnancy and parenting.
Right? So fantastic. Okay, let's talk about your Shark Tank experience.
Sure.
What was the reason to go on Shark Tank? And for those of us who don't have too much of an idea, although I mean we've had 2 Shark Tank folks on the podcast earlier, Ganesh of Flatheads and GD of VS Money, right? But walk us through this whole Shark Tank experience. What do we see on TV? What happens behind the scenes?
Yeah, sure. So for the folks, many of the folks I interacted talking about Shark Tank asked, how do you get into Shark Tank, right? So simple, you fill up an application by Sony Live and they'll review your application, call you for a city audition. If they feel it's completely organic, which is what I believe, merit based. And if in the city audition, if they feel the story is worth being told to the larger audience, they'll invite you to the studio round in Mumbai, which happens in Asia Studios. So my experience, it's really great. I'm not just pitching to, I mean, we as a team, we are not just pitching to the 5, 6 sharks sitting in front of us, but we are also pitching to Bharat, right?
Yeah.
People who are watching this on the televisions and mobile apps.
Right.
So it is definitely very nervous. That made me very nervous. And
It
definitely,
didn't seem like it. I mean, you seemed very confident on TV, yeah?
unless until some of the sharks started grilling me, I was very confident. So yeah. So see, it's also conviction, right? This is something you have been doing day in, day out. You're always passionate about to talk with a lot of conviction. So the
Right.
confidence do come. It really helped us to expand our horizon. Let's just break our heads and say our story, simplify our story as much as possible to a larger audience. So that was quite interesting. And one thing which some of the folks don't know, the actual Shark Tank episode, it does happen for about 45 minutes to 1 hour, where it gets a lot of edits, and the 12-13 minutes which you watch about every pitch, it is actually 45 minutes to 1 hour where sharks are asking about a lot of questions. Why we went to Shark Tank? Today, so many so-called LinkedIn influencers are writing and criticizing the sharks, but we have to admit that all the sharks have done some incredible work in their life. And they have seen 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to n, all the crazy growth. They have built the businesses themselves. They had immense learning. Firstly, we went there because, of course, from the sharks' point of view, how can we get them on board? How can we collaborate to a larger extent? Getting them on board itself was a very big motivation. Secondly, of course, you are going to pitch to a larger audience, tell your story.
Right.
Our mission is, the more people understand, get aware about the problems, and there is a solution that can exist. The more people understand this, the better, we are closer we are to our mission.
Right.
We started iMumz with an intention to create a healthier, happier, and smarter future generation by being the support system in pregnancy and parenting.
Right.
So we wish to make this idea to as many people as possible.
Yeah, TV does have a phenomenal reach, obviously.
It does,
Right? I mean,
yeah.
and it has that sense of swag value also that you cannot
Yeah.
take away for sure.
True.
Some quick FAQs on the Shark Tank thing, and
Yes.
then I'll ask you a few more
Yeah.
of the interactions that you had with the
Yeah,
sharks, right? So this whole process from when you shot to when it aired on TV, how long does that take?
It got shot during October 22 and it got aired on February 2023.
Oh, okay. So that's about 5 months.
Yeah.
Pretty much. When does the money actually hit your bank? I mean, so do you get a term sheet right after the show? How does that work?
So, I mean, it varies from shark to shark. They also do have a very small team
Right.
which does all the due diligence. So,
Right.
it take about 3 to 4 months right after the show gets aired.
Right.
Yeah.
What are some 2 or 3 things that people should do to prep for the growth after Shark Tank?
If you are a tech company, get your servers, check your servers. You might get an explosive traffic on your app or website. Brace yourself. And we are a service based, we have a service aspect as well. We have our coaches aspect as well. And we have a very limited capacity.
Right.
So you're also prepping what if a lot of traffic comes, how do we manage? Should we put a wait list? How till where we should stop so that quality doesn't hamper? People are coming with a lot of trust. So, many companies are D2C companies, they do focus on their inventories, whether they have enough stock or not. So definitely a lot of eyes are going to focus on you.
Right.
And your LinkedIn is definitely going to explode. I probably got about 600 plus DMs in just couple of days after Shark Tank show got aired.
Right. A few more questions on the interactions you had with the sharks itself, right? I think one of the criticisms was that, no, I won't say criticism. I think one of the things they brought up was that your market is small.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, pregnant mothers.
Yes.
And that too for a time period of about 2 years
Yeah.
and so on.
Yeah.
And so it's a very niche market. It's not necessarily like a VC fundable market and
yes.
so on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say to that?
See, VC power law, right? VCs, I think I took some time to understand this as an entrepreneur. It's very, very important to understand the VC power law.
Right.
They don't care about the probability of success. I mean, they do care. They have conviction. That's why they're putting. It's rather than the probability of success. What is the probability of becoming 1000x?
The degree of success.
The scale that someone
Scale of
could
success.
achieve.
Okay.
The
Right.
scale someone could achieve. That is the primary factor in my understanding.
Right.
So if you ask about, we are monetizing content. So if we sit on Excel sheet and calculate and what is the TAM, I would say for this it is small. Yes, I agree that. And we consciously are aware and we are building that business. But saying that's giving me a huge layer of sticky customers. And it's a very, very important problem to solve. And I have a lot of avenues in the future. For example, I started as a content company and then I grew into a coach-led model. Tomorrow I have aspirations to go offline and provide a much depth of care.
Yeah.
The more the depth of the care, the more the scope of the better results you can give to people and better you can monetize from them.
Right.
So there are different degrees of care, right? You just consume some actionable content. You have coaches who are supporting you. You have a birthing center where you're getting end-to-end care where people would love to shell 1.5 lakhs in their entire delivery experience.
Right.
So we are building brick by brick. If you ask me, are we a tech company which is tomorrow you put millions of dollars and you get massive scale? No, that we are aware of. But saying that all we need is a believer, just one believer. Okay, they can tomorrow. They can create $100 million in revenues under 3-4 years from now, and we do have plan for that. We don't have smaller dreams, but different markets might require different execution. Correct. As a founder, how much clarity you have on that? I'm not wronging any VCs when they shared their opinion. I totally respected them.
Right. Yeah, I think once you have the distribution and brand in place, I think after that is just a product game, right? And I mean, it's not trivial for sure, right? But I can see that, with good execution and with the data that you have from your customers and so on, that you could do N number of businesses, right?
Yes.
And you could treat the tier 1 customers and the tier N customers differently as well. Yeah. No, I really feel that you could build towards a very like a grand mission.
There is enough economy that is being generated by so many folks, right? If you take, couple who are in the fertility journey or pregnancy or early parenting, they are constituting to 8-9% of the Indian population right now. Right. So
it's very weird, right? I mean, there's this quote by Milton Friedman, and I'm going to butcher it, but he says something to the effect of, one of the things that has always amazed me is that parents will scrimp and save to spend on kids who will anyway have a better future than them, right? Who will be in better circumstances than them. Something to that effect, right? And I think, this whole this whole type of user is someone who won't think too much about spending that additional rupee if they're going to get value out of this for their kids, right? I mean, so
I agree on that. They are looking out for better products, better services, better guidance, right? At the same point of time, they also are conscious consumers, but saying that they would really value quality and they would go to an extent to buy something that will help their families.
For sure.
There is a lot of passion for that products and what they wish to spend for.
Right. The other sort of objection that they brought up was the valuation. Of course, I mean, which is I'm yet to see a single pitch where they kind of agree on the valuations, right? But they said that the valuations are a bit off and stuff, right? So, how do you end up signing with Piyush after that, right? I mean, did you have it in mind that you're going to get Piyush before you came on the show, or who was the chosen shark for you?
Yeah, so for us, honestly, it's Piyush and Namita.
Right.
Both actually. Piyush is a very good visionary.
Right.
He sees purpose behind the businesses as well, which was evident from all the Shark Tank episodes. So we were very keen to have him on board. And Namita as well. Namita has a very deep understanding of the entire space of obstetrics, gynecology, and women health in the country. MCure is the largest pharma company that is catering to OBGYNs in the country with a huge distribution network. It's a very strategic advantage as well. This part is not aired, but Dr. Jaideep Malhotra personally know Namita for quite some time.
Oh,
Dr. Jaideep is also one of the industry influencers who is my co-founder.
right.
So Namita was always supportive. But she has to play a role of shark there, right? She spoke her mind there, what she
Right.
felt about. She appreciated the business, but she didn't come on board because of the valuation which we're asking in.
Right. So, how much support do you expect from Piyush? I mean, he said that he wants to put in that cash to get on your cap table, right? I
Right.
think which is a smart thing.
Yeah.
Right. And the 50 lakhs or something at 10% is a
Right.
good deal, I feel.
Right.
Right. But realistically, for others who are sort of listening to this, how much time can they expect from these sharks?
So, see, definitely you have to understand sharks have much bigger businesses to run,
Right.
and they have a huge portfolio as well. But saying that once they are on your cap table, they have taken a decision that, I like this business, probably I would love to support it, right? So you are at least getting an access to speak to them, right? Of course, you have to be proactive as well. Um, Sending monthly MIS, talking about the challenges you're facing, and the team is completely accessible. So proactively trying to, also go with them with specific ask. I think that
Correct.
would always help.
Yeah.
Such folks, where they can add value, you also should understand, and it works both the way, I feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what do you have coming up, Ravi? I mean, we've chatted a great deal about the business, the various nuances in the operations and everything. But what do you see in the next 18 months to, 2 years?
Yeah, so currently, future also looks very exciting for us at iMumz. We scaled our pregnancy coach-led programs, standard programs quite well. We wish to, scale about 6x, 10x
Wow.
going ahead in the next 18 months, the same.
Right.
Also, we always saw a lot of demand from couple who are trying to conceive. They are very proactive in terms of finding out information on the web. They somehow land up on our app and they see it's beautifully designed, but not for us. Can you please help? There, we did sometime in the past 3 months, understanding what are the core needs. Today, if a couple, 1 out of 6 couple are finding difficulty in conception, and one obvious solution for them is to go for ART techniques, that is IVF, IUI. Not everyone are interested in doing that because it's medically as well as financially intrusive, right? You will have to go for hormonal therapy, you need guidance from a specialist, and of course they're expensive. So they wish to try some alternatives with lifestyle. Can they conceive? Are there any hardcore medical problem that is underlying? So a lifestyle program, Ayurveda inspired lifestyle program, for them for 3 to 6 months, according to so many studies, can give a lot of efficiency and help them conceive. So we launched our Fertility Plus program recently. We have about our first 100 customers. They found it quite helpful. Some of them recently conceived, and we wish to scale the same fertility programs as well, along with our pregnancy and early parenthood programs. So digitally helping them all of them together.
Right.
In the next 18 months, if you would say, today, especially another project which we plan to launch in the next 9 to 12 months is our own offline birthing center in Bangalore.
Wow.
We believe that we can give more compassionate care and get more better health outcomes if we are taking care of end-to-end care of the couple. Today, we are a digital wellness plugin, right? If we are there in offline space, taking care of their entire antenatal care protocols, I think we believe we could give better outcomes. Today, C-section rates are quite alarming in metro cities and private hospitals because we don't have a midwifery-led care. Like doctors are doing everything, and they need about 8 to 24 hours of attention for a natural birthing to happen, which is a luxury today for a doctor. They can't do more than 10 natural deliveries a month if they go on trying to do more about that. So we wish to launch our own natural birthing center, focusing on promoting natural birthing more for those who wish to go for. Of course, it's a woman's choice for her body. If she wishes to go for an elective cesarean, we would be more than happy to provide a gentle C-section and complete holistic care from an offline setting. So that's something in ideation as well, which we plan to launch in next 1 year.
Right. Fantastic. I think you're expanding your TAM as we speak, right?
Yeah. That's the plan. Yeah.
Wonderful. Any parting advice to entrepreneurs? What are some 2 or 3 things that they should do or not do?
One thing, entrepreneurs, I can understand everyone's busy doing so many things. Um, who is your personal counsel, right? Who are the people whom you are surrounded with, and how much time are you spending in upskilling yourself? So this is a very hard question I asked myself about 9 to 10 months ago, and I started reading at least couple of books, listen good podcasts, make my own personal counsel of 4 to 5 people whom I do really trust for each vertical, right? So that is adding immense value. How much knowledge are you absorbing? How much skill are you developing in yourself? Is something we tend to deprioritize. At least I deprioritized. Getting back that in the last 3 quarters has been phenomenal shift in my perspective. So if you are deprioritizing your personal learning, it is an amazing journey. Please go ahead and come back to track. We're all hungry folks. We need to learn more and feed our hunger more. What not to do? Please don't neglect your health as well. I did neglected my health for last 2.5-3 years. I used to be very much physical active. I realized I gained about 9-10 excess kilograms, and now when I started taking my physical fitness and nutrition very seriously, hence I didn't indulge in this tasty munchies which are in front of me. So please take care of, if you are neglecting your health, then please come back on track. Your physical and emotional health will definitely have a direct impact on your business and the people around you.
Fantastic. That's a wonderful note to end the podcast on. Thank you so much, Ravi, for making time in your day for this and sharing all of these insights with our listeners. We would definitely love to talk to you sometime in the future and get an update on everything that's happening with you. All the best for the future.
Pleasure, Roshan. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Ravi. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. We'll be back with another entrepreneur and another fantastic story with many more insights on another episode. Until then, like, share, subscribe, all of the good stuff, and I'll see you soon.